During the McCarthyism era, fingers were quick to point at anyone who worked with the USSR against the United States, such as the infamous couple known as Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, a seemingly ordinary married couple, yet revealed to be communist spies. With their arrest and court case coming due to multiple confessions, more needed to be known about the Rosenbergs. Julius Rosenberg was born in New York City, 1918, where he would grow up to earn an electrical engineering degree from the City College of New York, while simultaneously being a central figure in the Young Communist League in his early adulthood. Ethel Greenglass, on the other hand, was also born in New York City, 1915, where she grew up to become a clerk at a shipping company. She was eventually fired in 1935 for attempting a strike against the company. Ethel met Julius in 1936 when she also joined the Young Communist League, and they married a couple years later. Julius was able to secure a job as a civilian inspector for the Army Signal Corps in 1940, although he had lost it a couple years later as his history revolving the communist group resurfaced. Having been recruited by a Soviet spy master in 1942, it should be known that throughout his years as an engineering inspector, Julius provided classified military information to the Soviet Union. David Greenglass, Ethel Rosenberg's brother and a machinist, worked in the top-secret nuclear project known as the Manhattan Project. Julius was able to recruit David as well as another engineer, Russell McNutt. In just a couple of years, there was an established Soviet espionage ring that was composed of multiple U.S. engineers, including Julius and David. As the threat of the Soviet Union and the American paranoia in the Cold War grew, the American public learned of the Rosenbergs and their alleged espionage for the communist enemy. Leaking information about the atomic bomb to aid the USSR in their pursuit for the horrifyingly destructive atom bomb, McCarthyism and the Second Red Scare fresh in the minds of Americans, the Rosenberg trial caused fear and distrust in the United States.
The Federal Bureau of Investigation became aware of this espionage through a series of confessions first attributed by Klaus Fuchs, another communist spy caught in the United Kingdom during the Venona Project, a counterintelligence program. His confessions had started a chain of events which led to the discovery and arrest of David, who would later implicate his brother-in-law, Julius. A month later, after David's confession, Julius would be arrested and charged with espionage in 1950. The arrest of Ethel would follow soon after for assisting in espionage. As their trial started, the main witnesses would be David and his wife, Ruth Greenglass. There was also another co-conspirator along with the Rosenbergs, Morton Sobel. Sobel was yet another spy for the communists, who worked as an electrical engineer, and he was involved with the couple. Despite attempting to flee from the United States to Mexico after some accusations were made against him, he was caught and returned to face trial as the co-defendant. Judge Kaufman would start the trial with the statement, "The evidence will show that the loyalty and alliance of the Rosenbergs and Sobel were not to our country, that it was to communism. Communism in this country and communism throughout the world. Sobel and Julius Rosenberg, classmates together in college, dedicated themselves to the cause of communism. This love of communism and the Soviet Union soon led them to a Soviet espionage ring." David would make multiple testimonies against the married couple in exchange for Ruth to stay and care for his kids. Julius and Ethel would claim innocence, but with sufficient evidence as well as multiple witnesses, Judge Kaufman sentenced the Rosenbergs to death for conspiracy to commit espionage. Meanwhile, Sobel was given a 30-year sentence and David was given 15 years for cooperation with the FBI. Despite the multiple appeals to courts and protests, all attempts of pardons would be denied. The Rosenbergs would serve 2 years in jail before being electrocuted in 1953.
The espionage ring, established by the Rosenbergs in search of atomic secrets, despite the hopes and fears of many Americans, may have helped the Soviet Union with the development of the nuclear bomb more than Cold War-era America was comfortable with. It is possible that the Rosenbergs were, quote, putting into the hands of the Russians the A-bomb years before our best scientists predicted Russia would perfect the bomb, end quote, as Judge Kaufman put it, and were acting as a key factor in the development of the Soviet Union's first atomic bomb, dubbed Joe 1 by the US, and tested in 1949, only a year before the Rosenbergs were arrested. This first nuclear device of the Soviet Union was, quote, virtually identical, end quote, to the Manhattan Project's test at Trinity, which took place years before estimated, as Kaufman states, by the United States, possibly due to the oversight of spies infiltrating the nation and their American recruits like the Rosenbergs. Their undercover communication of atomic secrets may have also helped in the development of the Soviet Union's hydrogen bomb, dubbed Joe 4 by Americans, which was tested just 2 years after the Rosenbergs' execution in 1955.
Following the trial, fear and distrust deepened in American society. Seeing that Soviet Russian spies were among them, Americans were plagued with paranoia, afraid that anyone among them could have been another Russian spy. The trial brought back the previous sentiments of McCarthyism to the American public, unfounded accusations being made against innocent people in a desperate and unsuccessful attempt at curing the country of Soviet infiltrators. On top of this distrust for one another, the Rosenbergs had given an unknown amount of information concerning nuclear weapons to the Soviet Union, putting the nation at high risk of total destruction by the USSR's city-obliterating atomic bomb, and causing even more fear to strike the hearts of Americans for their nation's security. Judge Kaufman, the man who sentenced the Rosenbergs, sums up America's fear, saying, "I consider your crimes worse than murder. I believe your conduct in putting into the hands of the Russians the A-bomb, with the resultant casualties exceeding 50,000 and who knows how many millions more of innocent people may pay the price of your treason." The proof the Rosenberg trial provided of the Soviet infiltration in the country and spies living amongst Americans only rattled the population more, as the threat of the Soviet Union only heightened. The Rosenberg trial fanned the flames of distrust from the second Red Scare less than a decade earlier, and people were forced to wonder, yet again, if their friends, family, and acquaintances were not working with the enemy like the Rosenbergs themselves, and if they really were safe in the nation they called home.